Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're unpacking something that, well, honestly, it might just completely rewire how you think about the universe. We're looking at a May 2026 paper by theoretical physicist Peter Baldwin titled Emergent Propagation and Weak Field Gravity from Persistent Structure. It explores a concept that could reshape our understanding of the universe's most fundamental rules, and we're going to walk through its architecture together, step by step. Okay, let's dive straight into this. What if the very force keeping your feet on the ground right now, the force holding entire planets in orbit, isn't actually a fundamental baked-in rule of the universe at all? What if instead, gravity is just this massive cosmic optical illusion created by the environment of space itself? It's a total mystery box of an idea, and Baldwin's framework provides a fascinating mathematical structure to actually back it up. To wrap our heads around this, here's the roadmap for our explainer. First, rethinking physics. Then, the coarse-grained bath. Third, emerging light speed. Fourth, gravity as illusion. And finally, reality checks and limits. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Rethinking physics, laws of the universe. To really appreciate what Baldwin is proposing here, we've got to understand the big conflict happening in modern theoretical physics right now. On one side, you have standard relativity. In traditional relativistic field theories, the speed of light, the propagation speed of the universe, is treated as an absolute fixed law. It's governed by a strict mathematical symmetry called Lorentz invariance. It just is. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast, because on the other side, under General Emergence Mechanics, or GEM, the speed of light is not a fixed rule from day one. Instead, it dynamically emerges from a field interacting with its environment. So the rules aren't rigid. They're actually born from interactions. So what's the engine driving this emergence? It's a surprisingly simple concept, persistence. Basically, systems remain viable when they maintain coherence under disturbance. Think of a whirlpool in a rushing river. The water around it is constantly moving and totally chaotic, right? But the whirlpool structure persists because it maintains its coherence against all that disturbance. Baldwin's paper is exploring whether both the speed of light and gravity could actually emerge from this exact same persistent structure down at the microscopic level. Moving on to Section 2, the coarse-grained bath, universal background. Now, if things are interacting with an environment to literally create the laws of physics, you're probably wondering, what exactly is that environment? Well, Baldwin asks us to imagine a microscopic persistence field that's coupled to a background bath of harmonic oscillators. You can kind of think of this bath as the universe's invisible background static, like a fluid medium made up of incredibly fast, jittery environmental modes. When the persistence field interacts with this bath, the bath essentially acts as a coarse-graining frame. It's like standing really close to a chaotic pointillism painting and then taking a few steps back. From a distance, all that rapid microscopic chaos blurs together into a smooth, structured background. Section 3. Emerging light speed, structural origin of C. So the crucial point is how interacting with this invisible static actually builds the universe's ultimate speed limit totally from scratch. It happens in 4 steps. Step 1, our microscopic field couples to the background bath. Step 2, the fast, chaotic jitters of the bath are mathematically integrated out. That just means we zoom out to see the smooth macroscopic picture. Step 3 is where the magic happens. It's called bath-induced anisotropic renormalization, which is a mouthful, I know, but without getting bogged down in the math, it basically means that as the field interacts with the bath, its spatial and temporal properties adjust differently. They become anisotropic. And step 4, because space and time are adjusting differently due to this environmental resistance, a finite signal speed naturally emerges. Boom, we get C, the speed of light. Let's be absolutely clear about what's going on here. Baldwin's framework is giving us the structural origin of a causal speed limit. It's providing the actual mechanical reason why a speed limit exists in the universe at all. It's not just calculating the exact numerical value, like, 299,792 kilometers per second. Instead, it's proving that simply having a field interact with an environmental bath structurally forces a maximum speed of propagation to exist. Which brings us to Section 4, gravity as illusion, a refractive mechanic. This is easily the most mind-expanding part of the whole explainer. If the speed of light is just an emergent property of interacting with this bath, what happens if the bath isn't perfectly uniform everywhere? The paper introduces something called the persistence depth field. Think of it as the local stiffness, or density of the background environment. Deeper regions mean increased local stiffness. Imagine trying to walk across a swimming pool. Wading through the shallow end is pretty easy, but when you hit the deep end, there's more pressure and water resistance, right? It physically forces you to move differently. This persistence depth alters exactly how things can physically propagate through space.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct consequence of that depth-dependent propagation. It yields Newtonian-like attraction. Because the propagation speed naturally slows down in these stiffer, deeper regions, objects moving through space are naturally steered toward them. It creates an effective pull. It literally perfectly mimics the attraction we have always just assumed was a fundamental force called gravity.
Just let that sink in for a second. Gravity equals refraction. Think about when you put a straight straw into a glass of water and the straw looks bent. It looks that way because light travels at a different speed through the water than it does through the air. It refracts. Baldwin is arguing that gravity operates on that exact same principle. Massive bodies change the persistence depth of the space around them, which alters the speed of propagation. So objects traveling through that space have their paths bent toward the mass, exactly like light bending in water. Gravity isn't pulling you, space is just refracting you. And the wild part? This isn't just some fun, abstract philosophical idea. The math actually works. By expanding this effective refractive index, the framework perfectly recovers the standard weak field Schwarzschild metric. It predicts gravitational redshift, which is where light stretches out as it climbs out of a deeper persistence field, and it perfectly predicts the real-world light bending we observe around massive stars. It takes this emergent, fluid-like mechanic and lines it up perfectly with the real-world relativistic observations we've relied on for over a century. Let's move to Section 5, Reality Checks and Limits. As beautiful as this theory is, we absolutely have to ground it in hard observational reality and see how this builds against our strict limits. Look at this number, 10 to the negative 15th power. Real-world observations of gravitational waves put incredibly strict limits on how different the speed of gravity can be from the speed of light. They basically have to match perfectly to within a microscopic tolerance of roughly 10 to the negative 15. For Baldwin's emergent theory to survive out in the wild, the way the universe's bath adjusts space and the way it adjusts time have to be practically identical to satisfy this real-world constraint. And the author is entirely transparent about this. To hit that microscopic tolerance, the framework requires a really strong locking between temporal and spatial renormalization. Plus, Baldwin emphasizes that right now, this is presented as an effective scalar sector, meaning it deals mostly with straightforward magnitudes. So it's a highly structured program for sure, but it's not yet a fully completed theory. It doesn't quite reproduce the incredibly complex, multi-directional tensorial math of full general relativity yet, but it proves the concept in the weak field geometric optics limit, setting a really clear roadmap for the future. Which leaves us with this massive paradigm shift. If the ultimate speed limit of the cosmos and the very gravity that holds us to the Earth aren't fundamental laws, but just emergent optical illusions created by a coarse-grained background medium, what else is the universe hiding in the bath? I mean, what other unbreakable laws of physics are just waiting to be exposed as refractive tricks of the light? I hope this explainer sparked your curiosity as much as it did mine. Thanks for diving into this with me today, and keep questioning the fabric of reality.